Hi guys, John Adamson with Seeking Light. I've got a new environment. This is my downstairs basement office. Behind me, if you're enjoying that artwork, that is a one-off production by the famous John Adamson. Yeah, that's my attempt at art. Actually, it was heavily under the influence of an art instructor watching over me as I did it, telling me what I was doing right or wrong in a nice fashion. But anyway, it's not great, but it's my one like foray into a full painting, and my kids, I think partly jokingly, they decorated my office area, put it up to prove that I had some artistic ability, which I don't claim much of any. Anyway, I thought it'd be worthwhile going back over something we covered yesterday, which was again, this is the OSHA ETS General Guidelines FAQ, frequently asked questions. And we covered in brief this section yesterday, question 4D as in David. And I want to go back over this because I think it's really important, and it's the basis for an argument I'm making for my place of employment to not make me engage in anything that sets me apart from other employees, that's visible to other employees as an unvaccinated employee. Now, I failed to distinguish the other day between the healthcare ETS, which went into effect back in it was like July, early July, I believe, compared to the non-healthcare ETS, which recently came out. But in both situations, they should both apply. And I'm going to be looking more in detail to this. So if you're not in a healthcare situation, this is something to consider. So this paragraph, I think, really is a good synopsis of what I'm getting at. OSHA considers vaccination records required by paragraph E of the ETS to be employee medical records concerning the health status of an employee, and is requiring this personally identifiable medical information to be maintained in a confidential manner. So that's a really key sentence. So HIPAA, you have a right to have your health information protected by law. You have a right to not disclose that information. The only times you're going to disclose that kind of information is if it's a need to know basis for, let's say, like the healthcare. This would be one example of disclosing this. The healthcare that you are requiring, where you need to tell the care provider key elements of your health information so that they can better treat you. So, for example, if I had let's say I had the hokey pokey, and the next day I developed fever, hives, shortness of breath, whatever it might be, and I went into the hospital, and they say, okay, when did this start? I would say, oh, it started yesterday about noon. Did you do anything? Not that I recall. And so they would assume that this was kind of like an idiopathic start to my symptoms. But if I say, oh, yeah, I had the hokey pokey yesterday, they would go, oh. And then the doctor would probably tell me that, oh, there's no way that could have caused it, right? No, what they would do is they'd say, okay, there's a potential cause and effect relationship. So they would know that that particular shot possibly caused the symptoms that you're getting. So anyway, what I would say to that is this. We are required to make sure that we're providing information when it's related to our healthcare, when there's a potential cause-effect relationship with that information. Otherwise, you don't have to disclose. With that said, this is what I was getting at yesterday, but I wanted to elaborate on more today. My employer mandates that I wear a N95 mask, which looks much different than a standard procedural mask, depending on where you work. Some of them are the typical duckbill masks. Those are very distinguished compared to other masks like the procedural masks. If I work for an agency that's already informed employees that those that are not vaccinated are wearing N95, those that are vaccinated are able to wear procedural codes or masks, me working amongst my fellow employees who are vaccinated, they will automatically know something about my health information if they see me wearing an N95 mask when there's no reason to be wearing one. There are times when we wear those. So in healthcare, we have a patient who is on respiratory precautions. We should be wearing an N95. That makes sense. But when you have a situation where you're just wearing one just about your day, all day long, that's a disclosure of health information right there and then. What about, here's another mandate that some have had to do. What if you're mandated that you can't eat or participate in team activities, which might include like meals, meetings in person, things like that, because of your lack of vaccination status? That is another way of distinguishing you from the group as being unvaccinated and is a disclosure of your protected health information. Therefore, according to what this is saying, let's read that again. The vaccination records and rosters must be treated as employee medical records. I didn't read that sentence. I read the first sentence. OSHA considers vaccination records required by the paragraph of the ETS to be employee medical records concerning the health status of an employee and is requiring this personally identifiable medical information to be maintained in a confidential manner. That would not be confidential. And therefore, that would be a violation of HIPAA. It would be a violation of this OSHA mandate. And therefore, you have grounds to say to your employer, based on the law, I can wear a regular mask. I have already looked, and perhaps, and I'd love your comments. If you've seen anything to suggest that legally you must be forced to wear an N95 when you are an asymptomatic person, you must be forced to wear an N95 or a distinguishing mask from your fellow workers. Because if there's no legal precedent for that, then you have rights. And those would fall under, of course, HIPAA and according to this OSHA mandate, which, of course, right now is on stay. But if it goes into effect, this is a protection. So again, FAQs of the OSHA ETS. This is question 4, D as in David. Check that out. Feel free to comment. I appreciate your comments. This is John Adamson with Seeking Light. Take care. God bless.